If human experiments were made legal, what would scientists first experiment about? Psychology would become a lot more precise. Aesthetical genetic engineering, seeing how much people request it. If ethics is completely thrown out the window, I have no doubt in my mind that the first research that governments sponsor is genetically engineering super soldiers. Nerve regeneration could help with many conditions, like paralysis, deafness, blindness, etc. I had my collarbone plated and screwed with 11 screws after a really bad break. Before the surgery, the doctor told me he would do his best to look for the 5 or so nerve endings that cross that area, but they were very small, and most surgeons just cut right through them. I just said thank you before going under. Afterward the doc let me know he found 2, but there were definitely more that he couldn't find. Because of this I couldn't feel any topical pressure applied to the skin surface on my entire chest on the right side and down my arm, stopping halfway between my shoulder and elbow. He told me nerves don't usually grow back and this odd sensation would last for the rest of my time here on Earth. I went on with life in rehab until about 6 months after surgery, when I was walking through campus. Suddenly it felt like someone had poured ice water on my right shoulder. It was so sudden I jumped, screamed, and caused the entire quad to look in my direction. I touched my shoulder, and I could feel part of it again. This sensation happened a couple more times and now I have no loss of feeling in any area of my right shoulder. So odd. Edit, doing and GT, don't and small clarification. I'll try to reply to everyone tomorrow. This is the most popular comment I've ever had on Reddit, so please be kind to me. I imagine some sociologists would really like to pull a Lord of the Flies type thing where you remove a dozen kids from civilization and see how they adapt. A king did this in the old days, way back when his own word was law. He had children raised feral to see what would happen to them. The guy I heard about was Holy Roman Emperor Frederick II that did this, but upon a Google search you can find more as well. Pharaoh Psamtik I of Egypt and King James IV of Scotland are noted. Putting a child in a giant inflatable ball, periodically poking it with a stick to prove/disprove the hypothesis that it would grow up to fucking hate them. Some children fucking hate you even if you give them the wrong cereal in the morning. Honestly? How to make viruses and viral infections more efficient yet controlled. This will make the delivery of genetic treatments way more effective. Edit, ARVs exist. I forgot about that. Thanks to those who pointed it out. And GT, how to make viruses and viral infections more efficient yet controlled. I thought you were going to go the weaponized Ebola route on that. Brain transplants, or the ability to transfer someone's consciousness. The day we figure out what consciousness truly is and how to transfer it, is the day we defeat death. Put me in a giant robot body, I am all for it. At what angle do we have to hit someone's elbow to produce electricity? Assuming we just throw all ethics out the window, more child psychology experiments. I'd be curious to know if the Stanford prison experiment carries over to children or if that type of following orders behavior is learned. Gene editing to the point of being able to produce newborns with specific cosmetic and mechanical traits with near 100% precision. Basically designer babies. Very morally questionable, but imagine being able to prevent all genetic diseases/disorders in all future humans, even having them born without appendixes and wisdom teeth. That or make real monster girls for the weebs. Extending lifespan and extending penis size. Clones. Edit, thank you guys so much. I have never got that much upvotes on anything. A clone of yourself would make it a lot easier to suck your own dick. How to grow 2 heads on one body. Men have succeeded at that already. Stem cells and cancer treatment. You ever seen the movie The Island, where people are birthed just to donate their organs to rich people? Sorta like that, but we don't actually need to have another human just grow the organ in an incubator. I think they've already started growing spare human parts on pigs or mice. Imagine a person whose sole job is growing extra kidneys in his own body for transplant, or extra ears all over his belly. Dunno, ask China. In utero genetic modification. The ethics early on are a bit sketchy, but if this stuff actually works, crippling genetic disorders could be all but eliminated within a couple of decades. Granted, that may lead to designer babies, but with a little regulation we should be fine. So many things. Human growth/development is a big one. A lot of experimental data comes from decades ago when human experimentation was more or less legal. I can think of a few specific topics right now: language acquisition, infant brain development, psychosocial development. Human nature outside of civilization. If you mean outside of city/village life, there are still some nomadic hunter-gatherer groups to study. If you mean outside of social groups entirely, then it's not human nature you're interested in. Human nature essentially involves being in groups, just like wolves or lions or ants or any other social creatures. Cat girls. When hard to make someone believe the whole point of their lives was 'cause some weeb wanted to have a girlfriend and couldn't find one. Mind control. They test new drugs on human tissue, then mouse, monkey, then human. Plus psychology experiments are done every day. Experimentation, per se, is not bad. It just got a bad name. If a transgender person was raised in isolation only by robots having never seen the opposite sex, would they have the compulsion to transition, and if so, transition into what? How could you tell someone is transgender before they were raised? How many hard-boiled eggs without shell can a person fit up their butt? 9 1/3. Medication for pregnant women. Since fetuses can't give consent for medical trials, it's extremely difficult for doctors to get accurate data regarding the effects to the fetus of various medications and treatments that a pregnant mother may need. First, some health preventative measures. Want a baby that we guarantee won't have these terrible genetic defects that you have a chance of passing on? Done. Then aesthetic changes. Want a blonde hair, blue-eyed kid? Or shall we go brown hair, brown eyes to make sure your kid doesn't have the traits of their actual father? Done. And physical advantage changes. Want us to add the stamina of one race and height of another race? Done. After decades of this, rich people will use genetic experimentation and modifiers to clearly define their children as rich from birth. Like born with specific birth markings. Or wings, who knows. Yep, babies would be modified quickly. Rich people would spare little expense to make sure their single offspring would be the smartest, prettiest, and strongest baby they could produce. Get a great ape to raise a child. Probably by switching a stillborn chimp/gorilla/orangutan with a newborn infant. Repeat this several times, removing the child from its ape mother at different ages. 2, 6, 10, 18. Teach that ape human English and see what we can learn. Gorilla dad coming back from hunting trip. Now WHODA fuck is this no hair having, 2 sets of opposable thumbs lacking. That ain't my kid. Apes are way too smart. Maybe a grieving mother would accept the child, but an ape community, especially one in captivity, they'd know the child was human right away. Kid would either be in hella danger or end up ostracized by the community. It would be interesting though, if we knew the child wouldn't be murked on sight. Human hybridization. Specifically, what other animals can make us viably pregnant and what animals can become viably pregnant by us. I figured this would be on top. All the cancer treatment and gene editing experiments mentioned here are already being done legally with no issues. But human hybridization is one big red tape in the ethics department. Making cat girls for the weebs. Stopping aging for the people who don't wanna die. Genetical enhancements in intelligence and physical strength would probably also be in there. I just don't wanna go bald. Is that too much to ask science? Lots of people are mentioning useful things but forget that the money will have everyone trying to make dicks bigger and regrow hair. Toss in how to graft younger skin and muscles onto someone and you got the perfect billionaire body replacement plan. The nocebo effect. Cloning. It has already been somewhat successful in sheep, and it would certainly be on their interest to see if they can accomplish the fate on a human. You do know that there are several, very successful lines of cloned mice, right? I think we're well past the point of cloning Dolly at this point. Human experiments are legal, they just have to be approved via showing enough evidence with animal trails that the product isn't going to severely harm someone. And doing drug trials can be extremely lucrative. There are some that will pay tens of thousands of dollars for you to basically lie in a bed. Nurses told me that they get a lot of seasonal workers who basically become professional guinea pigs for the winter. Immortality or the afterlife. either cancer patients or healthy subjects for any disease. Trying to take DNA from other animals and coding it into humans so we have their abilities. Imagine having lizard DNA where amputees could grow back limbs. Or shark DNA where if your teeth fall out new ones come in. Being able to fly? Tougher skin? A tail? Webbed feet and gills. Lobster DNA, you don't die of old age, you just keep getting bigger. Marsupial DNA, easier childbirth. As if human experimenting hasn't been going on illegally for how many years? You won't believe this one simple trick. There have been dozens of social experiments which should have been illegal in the past. The Little Albert experiment, Stanford prison study. Probably how to make humans conform more easily to authority. Just seems logical. Seeing how LSD would affect a baby's undeveloped mind. Disclaimer, I know this sounds terribly cruel, but I've always wondered how it could change any perceptions of the world that they may have, even though they don't have many and what ones they do are very weak. It's not something I'd ever do. Imagine having someone high since birth, a never-ending stoner, and then see how they react by cutting off their supply after 18 years. I'd vote for eyesight. Human eyes are pathetic. Throw me some of those hawk/eagle eyes or cat's night vision. Did you know birds can see UV and wolves can see infrared heat? Yeah, gimme some of that too.